What is up, everybody? My name is Gary Lawrence, and today we're going on an adventure. What is up, everybody? My name is Gary Lawrence, and today we're going behind the scenes of episode 3 of Backyard Pilots. This episode's all about our trip from Massachusetts to Steve's camp in Maine. The flight that Steve and I took to get to the camp is what's in the documentary, and you will be able to see that when I end up posting it here on YouTube. But the behind the scenes footage is actually all shot by my wife, who captured the trip up. If you are wondering, yes, this is the ASC cinematographer approved way to transport your camera. Here's Steve kind of explaining the last few directions of the trip to my parents, because they're less of take a left or right on such and such road and more of you'll see this particular, why can't I say the word particular? The directions are less of take a left or a right at this street name and more take a left or the right a quarter mile after you see this particular rock. The trip for Steve and I was about 3 hours of flight time. My parents driving obviously was a little bit longer. They were around 5.5 to 6 hours. He also gave directions to a grocery store, and he was giving directions there because it's about a 45-minute trip up the mountain. And so it would be a 45-minute trip back down to get anything you needed. And so we had to stock up on the supplies like batteries and food and gin and tonics, other things. As you can see, the paved roads led to dirt roads, which then led to smaller dirt roads. So obviously Steve and I got there ahead of my parents, and we kind of just hung out for a little bit, waited for them to get there. When I thought they'd be arriving, I ended up taking the ATV and going about halfway down the mountain to see if I could meet them there. And it was a good thing I did, because I did end up finding them, and they were saying that if they didn't see me around the next corner, they were just gonna head back and try the directions over again. So I ended up finding them, and I opened the gate and they followed me all the way up. So Steve's camp is really, really cool. He built this thing before you could get a truck or any type of equipment up onto the plot of land. He talks about this in the documentary a little bit, but basically they would get the wood and materials as far up the mountain as they could, and then Steve had himself and then his sons and their girlfriends and their friends, and they would bring it up. Interestingly enough, Steve has a sawmill at his house that he built, and it's an awesome place. I'm actually thinking about doing a documentary, if I can convince him to do it, about his backyard sawmill, because it's really, I guess that's what it would be called. It's just dawning on me. I'll have a whole series of documentaries just called Backyard whatever. Backyard Pilots, Backyard Sawmill, Backyard Baseball. What a great game. Does anybody remember that? Is that what it was called? Kenny Yamaguchi, was that his name? Well, Pablo Sanchez. Pablo Sanchez was the GOAT. Nobody, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you do, Pablo Sanchez was the GOAT. Where is it? I should download that game. I wonder if I could download it. No way. Oh, this is like a nostalgia hit. I'm gonna get nothing done. Well, I know what I'm doing after this. Where was I? Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, a series of things. So that's how Steve had all this material for his house. He milled it all at his house in Rochester and then trucked it up there, which is really, really cool. So when we got there, I didn't have any shooting scheduled for the first day. I kind of just wanted everybody to kind of unpack and relax. And so we're all just kind of chilling in the living room, and Steve's out in the garage doing something. And Smith is like, wow, that's a interesting spider decoration Steve has. And I was like, I'd been there once before, and I was like, Steve doesn't have spider decorations. And she was like, no, that one right there. And so I look on one of the beams, and then there's this spider. And I can see why she thought it was a decoration, because it was the biggest spider I've seen in my life. And I was like, oh no, that's a real spider. And she was like, thought I was playing a prank on her. And I was not playing a prank on her. I wasn't. And I think she wished that I was playing a prank on her. So I had to go down to Steve's garage, pick up the ladder there, and bring it back. And this is actually footage of Steve rather calmly and collectively sliding a can, I think it was like a coffee can, over it, and a piece of paper behind it to get the spider out, and then released it into the wild. And I think Samantha wanted that spider murdered. She put out a hit on that spider, but Steve is very much a person who wouldn't hurt a fly nor a spider, albeit a very, 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 very large spider.
We can put him in the wood pile.
Far away.
She's scared of that spider.
The next day we woke up bright and early, and I brought my camera down, and we got a whole bunch of footage of Steve taking off and landing on the water. My dad and Samantha both got to take turns up, kind of fly around the mountains with Steve while I was shooting some of this B-roll. I took the day to shoot some scenic stuff, and then in the later afternoon we brought some Adirondack chairs and pulled them into the sunroom and shot an interview that lasted about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. Came back later that evening around golden hour and shot a whole bunch of drone footage, and that was really fun. That evening I came back after basically the sun had set a little bit, and brought my audio recorder and just recorded a whole bunch of different natural sounds. I highly recommend doing this, and I actually really enjoy doing this. This documentary actually inspired me to start a different YouTube channel that I'm kind of working on now. That's basically, it's called Soundology, and it's basically just like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, half hour, an hour long of just this kind of scenic audio, I guess is what you would call it. And so my first episode's up. I went down to the Cape couple weekends ago and froze my butt off. I called it Winter Waves of Cape Cod, and it's basically just this wave audio with this nice winter scenic. So I actually hope to go back up to Maine to shoot a few more episodes, because I think that'd be really, really fun. The last day we kind of just packed up, and everybody had to write, about your adventure in Steve's little binder. If you go through the binder, you can see all the different people that have come up through the years, and everybody writes down a little note about what they did and stuff like that. So that was really fun. I had done it before when I went up with Steve, and it was nice to do it again. My dad got to do it, Samantha did it, my mom got to do it as well. So that was fun and interesting. But yeah, I was really happy that we got to go up to Steve's place. I think it adds a little bit to the film. It's definitely nice to kind of move away from Metal Muffin for a little bit. It doesn't feel so, I feel like it goes by pretty quick, each sequence, and that's basically the middle sequence of the film. And I really, really enjoyed shooting it and going there and experiencing Steve's camp once again. So thanks, Steve, for having us. So that's it for episode 3. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look at our trip from Massachusetts to Maine. And I can't wait to show you next week's episode, which is going to be all about 360 cameras and how I use those effectively for this documentary to get the impossible shot that some people have asked me about. How did you get this shot? How did you get this shot? So we'll go over that next week, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching this episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.
Over here. Watch it.
The stretch and delivered. Swing. A long fly.
Ooh.
Goodbye.